guys for the online session of the topic of unit number 3, that is steering system, as which I have given you a word just before in the morning session of the Zoom, which I am going to deliver the session in the online, and I will upload this video onto the YouTube one. So this topic, I prepared some the PPT, such like whatever the important topics which is related to the exam and as well as the topic we'll discuss right now. Just these are the contents in which we are going to learn in today's class, that is definition, purpose, types of steering system, functions, requirements, factors affecting the steering system, components, steering linkages, steering gear and its type, understeering and oversteering, steering gear mechanism, steering geometry, wheel alignment and steering problems. At the end, after this, we'll also try to discuss about the questions which has been asked in the previous exam of your OU, and what is the expected questions, or what are the topics which you need to focus more or stress more, such a way like which can be covered for the exam. Let's start the topic with the definition first. Right, coming to the definition, in which, as you know, the steering is a collection of the components which is linkages which allows you the vessel, that is shipboards or whatever. In a simple definition, which we say, like, if you want to drive in vehicle, if you want to control the functions of your vehicle in which you are making a turn or to the left or to the right, basically it is controlled with the help of a component which is nothing but we say it as a steering system. Okay, so steering system is a mechanical arrangement of various kinematic links and gears that combine working allow drivers to guide the vehicle in the desired direction, whatever the direction which you want you to travel. Okay, so next, after this, we'll go to the purpose of the steering system, in which you have two purposes. One is a primary and another one is a secondary. So what is the primary function is to provide your direction stability of the vehicle when you are traveling or going ahead. First major important thing is you need your direction stability, either if you take your left turn or right turn, whatever. Next is, after that, another important primary function is to provide a perfect steering condition, such a way like there should not be any rolling, pitching, yanning or anything which occurred to your vehicle, that should be avoided. Okay, and next is to facilitate straight ahead recovery after completing turns, such a way like if you are making a left turn or right turn, you actually turn your steering wheel, so it has to come back after a turn when it completes. That is a major function and a primary function. And next is to minimize tire wear, as well as when you are traveling you have a wear to your tires as well as onto the certain many other components. So in that, to minimize your wear onto the tire, also one of the major function of your steering system. And next you have a secondary function of that. What are the secondary functions? It should multiply the turning effort, because when you are actually making a turn to any of your direction, when you are rotating your steering wheel, you have to multiply that force which has been applied by you, such a way like your efforts which you are trying to make a turn should be low, it should multiply and then it should make a smooth turning. That is a major secondary function. And it should be, to certain extent, there should be some points which we already discussed in our classroom teaching of the discussion which you have already started about the steering system, one or two classes which you have gone through. So in that, there is reversible, irreversible and semi-reversible. Reversible is such a way like whatever you make a turn, it completely come back to the original, make your full turn revolution. And irreversible in the sense, some kind of effect when you are making a turn which will be felt by the driver when he is handling your steering wheel. And semi-reversible is such a way like quite a bit amount of vibration has been sensed by the driver, but maximum to extent which has been avoided, that is we say it as semi-reversible. Most of the cases of all the automobiles, we have semi-reversible. We cannot have a complete reversible, or it should not be irreversible also. So that is one of the secondary one. And the next one is the mechanism should have self-retaining effect. That is when your driver releases the steering wheel, which is already we have discussed the point I had before. So this is the basic purpose of a steering. Sometimes it can be asked in a short answer question, like what is the purpose of a steering. So in that, which we need to list out the 2 points which can be your primary and secondary function. Okay, next, type of steering system, as we know, the basic thing which you have manual steering and you have another one is a power steering. Okay, so there is a small mistake over here. This is actually there is a power one, which is it is given as 2 as the second manual one, but it is a secondary one. sorry, it is a power steering one. So it relies solely on the driver to provide, which, as you know, earlier in the previous vehicles we used to go with the manual steering, but right now we are going with the power steering. Such a way, like less efforts is required to drive or make a turn of your steering wheel. And coming to the next is your functions, obviously, which is most important one. There are, which I have listed many of the functions below, and there's few things we'll discuss over here. That is, major function is to achieve the direction stability is one of the major important function. Next is angular motion, such a way like when you have your front wheels to negotiate a turn, and next is we have straight recovery of your head when you are making a turn, and next is, which I already discussed in the primary one, is should to minimize your wear of tires, and next is whatever the vehicle, when you are making or when you're traveling on a road, some kind of jerks will be absorbed by your vehicle, that should be avoided, such as like any of your vibrations or road shocks to be avoided. And next is, which I have discussed, another one is rolling, pitching, yanning, whatever this things which you have. In case of your suspensions also, it will be maximum avoided. And next, if still it is there, it should be avoided with the help of your steering system also. Next, another important function is converts your rotary motion of your steering wheel into angular motion, as generally, which we'll go through the components. Next one, I'll make you clearly understand what are the components, how we are making a turn, how the rotary motion has been converted into the angular turn, everything we'll discuss. Next is, it should multiply your efforts. Obviously, just before discuss, whatever the amount of force you apply, it should multiply. That is a major functions of your steering system, right? Okay guys, next we'll move on to another one, that is requirements of the steering system. Of course, this questions will be mostly asked in your short answer, what are the functions and requirements. The first requirement, it should be very accurate and it should be easy to handle. It should be low in maintenance, and the life of the steering system should be good, and it should have good direction stability. And obviously the common point is turning efforts, whatever you have, it should multiply, and certainly it should have some kind of reversibilities. Next, it should turn the wheel within a shortest possible time, such a way like when you make a rotation, when you are having a deep turns, when you are making your turn based on your turning radius within a required directional, when you are making a turn, it should react according to that. There should be self-centering action in the steering geometry, whatever which we have discussed in our classroom teaching one in your steering geometry. What is a perfect steering geometry which we have? Based on that, it should have your self-centering cornering action. Okay, so these are your basic requirements of your steering. Next, coming to the factors affecting the steering system. So what are the factors which we have? The major important one, the steering gear ratio is one of the big factor. Next is linkage connections is another factor, tire pressure obviously, and next is your wheel bearing, conditions of your kingpin and bearing. What is your kingpin? All those things we'll learn in the next coming topic. Okay, these are the major factors which will affect your steering system. Suppose if your steering gear ratio, which has to be maintained in a perfect one, if it is less than that, then the efforts will not be good, which you have to multiply that, then which requires more force to apply to make your turn. Obviously this will be one of the factor. And next is linkages. If you have many linkages in between, just you have your drag arm, pitman arm, steering linkage, shaft, in this, if any of the thing which there is a problem in that connection which you have the linkage one, then obviously the steering system will not work perfectly. Okay, another one is tire pressure. Right now you get in your all modern vehicles which you have your tire pressure, what to be maintained, all this information also you do get it. You have to maintain your perfect pressure, whatever so required in your tires, and if your pressure of the tire which is below than that, then obviously it will affect on your steering one. And next is obviously have main other components is like bearings, ball and sockets one, which is should be in a perfect condition. If not, you cannot have your more motion to be converted from your rotary onto the angular one. Okay, and next after that, components of your steering. As just before I told you, there are few components in this which will be asked most of the case in your short answer question. It is many times been asked as well, like what are the components of the steering system. So coming to this, which we have the components is like steering wheel, steering shaft, steering column, and next is steering box, cross shaft, drop man, drag link, steering arm, and knuckle. So in this, the major important thing is coming to the working. I will also explain you the working over here, which we have your steering wheel which has been connected onto your steering column. As when you make a turn of your steering wheel, this rotary motion is converted with the help of the steering column, which has been transferred by your steering shaft onto a steering gearbox which you have over there. There are many different kinds of steering gearbox which we'll learn in the next coming one. So in that steering gearbox, what happens over there is it will multiply its efforts when you actually make a turn with the help of your gear ratio which you are going to maintain, which may be a 14:1 or 20:1 or 18:1 based on your design of your steering system. Then after that, this motion is converted into the angularity with the help of your cross shaft which is you have over there, and these cross shaft is being connected onto a drop arm which you have, and these drop arm is connected onto the drag link which you have, and to this you have your tie rods which you have your left and right tie rods, and to this it has been connected onto the steering knuckle, and from this onto your wheels. So here basically if you make a turn to the left direction of your vehicle when you are traveling, so from here the steering wheel is being made a turn with the help of the steering gearbox, and then these drop arm of your left tie rods will make a rotation such a way like these inner wheels which you have, it makes less revolutions than your outer wheels which you have. That is basically maintained with the help of your differential, which we'll learn in unit number 4. Okay, so this is your basic components and working of your steering system. This is another layout of your steering system itself, which just before we have discussed, which you to have your clear picture which I have listed over here, which you have the same component which is steering wheel, steering shaft, pitman arm, drag arm, all these things. So here they may ask you the functions or maybe what are the working of this components of your steering system, which will go one by one. Okay, and steering wheel first is it consists of a hub with the metal spokes which is ring fabricated as a single piece, such a way like which you make a turn with the help of your steering wheel to your steering column. So the steering column is a tubing one which protect your steering shaft from damage, and next you have your drag link which is actually connected to the drop arm with the help of your knuckle arm. This is very important one. And next is you have a steering shaft which is attached to your steering column, which to transfer your power or make a rotation, and this pitman arm which is your transfer gearbox motion which is attached to your steering linkage is pliant to a gearbox. And next you have idler arm which supports your end of your center link. Okay, so these are all the working of your components of your steering system. And next we go on to the steering linkage. There are a number of steering linkages which you have, such as like parallelogram type, rectangular type, all these kinds of linkages which you have. So basically what is the steering linkage is like, it is connecting the links from your steering gearbox onto your front wheels. It depends upon the type of the vehicle whatever you have. So I've listed few of the steering linkages types which you can go through on this. And next is the very important one, is steering gear. So this steering gearbox will learn the working of different types of your steering gearbox, as you know, which is used the steering gearbox is to change the rotary motion of your steering wheel into straight line motion. That will make your steering linkages. Okay, so here you have types of steering gears. These are the types which you have: worm and worm wheel steering gear, worm and nut type, and worm and rolling steering, recirculating ball type, rack and pinion steering gearbox. Okay, these are the different types which you have. We'll go through one by one the working principle. First we'll start with the worm and wheel steering gearbox one. So this is the figure which you have for the worm and worm wheel type one. In this steering box there will be a worm which is at the bottom one. This is your worm which you have your bottom at the end of your steering, and this worm will mesh with the wheel in a steering gear which you have your gearing box housing over there. So this will mesh with the wheel over there. When actually you make a turn of your steering wheel, the steering column revolves and this wheel rotates along with this. This causes the drop arm to move, and thereby move the drag link and other steering linkages like tie rod and kingpin, etc., which go through the just before figure which you have the components one, how this makes your rotation of your tie rod and of your wheel. So these movement of your steering wheel will turn the worm, which in turn drives the worm wheel wrap, okay, which is attached to your wheel spindle one. So these rotation of the steering wheel will make your linear motion of your drop arm and which is actually connected to the link rod. Okay, so this is your basic working principle of your worm wheel type. So coming to this is mostly used in the previous vehicles. Right now we are not coming over the usage of this worm and worm wheel type. So this is an example where the application of the worm and worm wheel type is mostly used in tractors, because for the tractors you have your high efforts to be applied to make your turn. So in this kind of application we basically use a worm and worm wheel type steering gear. Okay, and next we move on to the other one is worm and nut type. So coming to this worm and nut type, you have this one. A nut is made to work onto those threads. As you have your turning of the steering wheel makes this nut along the steering screw thread, and you have the nut similarly working as a bell crank lever. As you have your bell crank lever pivoted one, it is similar working of that in the steering gear box one. The steering gear drop arm forms the other form of your bell crank. So these recirculating ball type worm of your steering wheels is developed by this type of your steering gearbox. Okay, basically you have a problem with when you go with the worm and worm wheel type, which is you require most of your efforts to be applied to make your rotation. So in the worm, in place of another worm, we basically use a nut such a way like some amount of efforts will be minimized. So this is basically used in your four-wheel automobiles in the premium olden days vehicles. Right now we are not using that also, this worm and nut type one. And next you have after this is your recirculating ball type one. This is the most important one which you have, the recirculating ball type one, which looks like which the components you can go through this, which you have your sector gear, worm gear, and in between you have a ball nut rack and steering shaft, and another one you have on to the left side is your pitman arm. So here what is you are going to have is most of these automobiles which we use a worm gear, which is nothing but the example of the recirculating ball type one. So here the coming to the working principle is, as you have your recirculating ball one, which when you make a rotation of your steering wheel, your steering shaft will rotate, and which makes a rotation in your what do you call balls which you have over there, which causes a large nut in mesh with a large thread, which will make up and down movement of your worm. This nut which has a number of teeth which is attached onto this another one which we have your sector gate, so such as that it will also make your rotation. This sector gear is hooked to the steering linkage, which actually makes the complete gear reduction process. By this gear reduction process, which increases your steering wheel turning effort. Okay, so basically what we use is to reduce the friction and steering effort, some kind of ball bearings may be used in between of your worm and nut type. So that's the case we will generally say it as a steering recirculating ball type one. Okay, so this is basically most commonly used in all of the four-wheeled automobiles right now. Okay, so this is very important one, which has once been asked in the exam also, recirculating ball type steering one. Okay, so let's move on to another one, which is very important one, another one which is rack and pinion type. So coming to this is a very simple steering mechanism one, which you have one is the rack and another one is your pinion. Okay, so many of your small cars right now which we are going on, you basically uses the rack and pinion steering type itself. So where you have your less components, as you have your less efforts which is required to make your turn. So here what is you are going to have, the working principle is this. Basically there is a rack which has been laid horizontal one, and there is a pinion which is in contact with your rack. As when you are making your steering wheel to rotate by the help of your steering column and the shaft, this rack will be moving on to the direction which makes your rotary motion onto the angular one, with the help of the contact which you are going to have your teeth of your pinion one with the help onto the rack, which makes your rotation to have your left and right direction one. Okay, this is a simple and which is most commonly used. This is an example of a rack and pinion steering type is Maruti 800 is the best example which we have. Okay, so for this Maruti 800 which you have your steering gear ratio of your rack and pinion will be 17:1, and for 1 liter engine of your Maruti which is 18:1. Okay, so this is about the rack and pinion steering type 1. And next we go on to another one topic which we say it as understeering and oversteering one. Coming to the understeering and oversteering, which is also very important topic. which basically once or twice which has been asked in your exam. So what does I mean by an understeer and an oversteer? First, to understand about the understeering and oversteering, first let us understand the slip angle and a creep angle. Then it will be easy to understand about the understeering one. So here there is a figure which has been given to you. So here is your centerline axis of your wheel, and there is another one is which you have your thrust angle one. When you are actually making a turn, the thrust generated by your force onto this, there is an angle in between your thrust line as well as your center line of your wheel. So these angle which we generally say it as actually slip or a creep angle. Okay, are you clear? So on this, when if your slip angle on your front wheel is actually greater than your rear wheel, then this we generally say it as an understeer one. And suppose if your slip angle of your rear wheel is greater than your front wheel, then we say it as an oversteering one. Okay, so coming to this, the understeer is most commonly preferred one, because correction by the when you have your rotating your steering wheels a little more in the direction of turn, it has your slip angle has been basically affected by a road camber or maybe a tire inflation or a variation in the load of the front wheel. What does mean by a camber and all those things we'll learn in the next topic one. Okay, so oversteer is basically major problem, so that is we need to avoid it. So if so, there is certainly there would be a understeer one. Okay, so apart from this, there is also another one which we say it as a turning radius. What is a turning radius? Turning radius is nothing but the maximum amount of your rotation of your wheels which can be made to the maximum distance when you are making either to the left or right. That basically depends upon a design of your vehicle, what is your dimensions, what length you have, what width you have, what wheelbase you have. All these factors it depends on to have your turning radius. Okay, so usually the turning radius will be for hatchback vehicles for on about 4 meter to 4.5 meter, and for sedan vehicles it will be a larger enough for 5 meter or maybe 5.5 meter, and for SUVs will be around 4.5 to 5.5 somewhere. For length, for the trucks and all, it will be more, which may be about 6 to 7 meters and somewhere. Okay, so that is about your turning radius. And next you have another one is the steering ratio. What is mean by steering ratio after this? Basically it is the ratio of your whatever the angle which has been turned by your steering wheel to make just 1 degree angle of your turning angle of your sub axle. Okay, suppose if you make 1 degree variation in your wheel, first that it requires 12 degree angle rotation to make that slight 1 degree angle one. So then you generally say your steering ratio to be about 12:1. Suppose if you go with the heavier vehicles, you basically have the higher steering ratio, that would be about 35:1 or maybe 30:1. Okay, and next after that we'll move on to the next one is steering gear mechanism, which is very important one, which we have discussed in the classroom teaching one and the previous one also, the mechanism one. In order to understand the basic mechanism of your steering gear one, we need to understand what is a perfect steering one. So which is already we have gone through in the earlier class itself to have your what is a perfect steering one. So in this steering mechanism you have Davis steering mechanism, another one is Ackermann steering mechanism. About this mechanism, the analysis which is already you have learned in your kinematics of machine. Right now we'll be going through only the simple working principle of your Davis and Ackermann steering mechanism. As you know, coming to the Davis steering mechanism, which you have your more sliding ones, which is not familiar one and which is not usually used most commonly in case of all your vehicles, as well as when you go with your Ackermann steering mechanism, which is most common one, which is used in all your vehicles. Okay, which is we have gone through what is the reason, all those things in your kinematics of your machines also earlier before. So in this, apart from Davis and Ackermann is the most common one, which is very important one, which has been asked in your exam for about 4 to 5 times in the previous year one. Okay, so coming to this, the Davis steering mechanism one, which you have in the left figure, which you observe over there, which is the distance of your C is nothing but your distance between your two center points of your front wheel one, and B is your we call your wheelbase one, and C and D, which is a point which has been mentioned of your wheels, and the angle which has been made from your left wheel onto the center line, which is alpha, and similarly onto the right one, which is also alpha, which is given as a points K and L. So from this, if you go through the triangle of law, where you have a tan alpha from this will be as B by 2L, which, as you know, where this B is nothing but the distance between the 2 points of your front axles, is also nothing but which is say it as AB, and the range or maybe the ratio of your B by L will be on about 0.4 to 0.5. So this angle of your theta, which will be on and about maybe about 11 to 14 degrees one. Okay, so this is about your Davis steering mechanism one, which you have the connecting links of your stub axles, which you have your Brenel crank levers, which has been pivoted at about point A and onto the other one at the side of your B, and where you have your cord links, which is nothing but KL onto the bearings, and it also carries a pins at the inner one, which is K and L, and another one is which you have your slide blocks, which has been pivoted onto the spins, and which will move with the help of this to your turning of your bell crank levers, as well as your steering wheel is operated with the help of this one. Okay, when your vehicle is running in a straight, the gear is in a mid position one, and when you have your short arms like AK and BL, which is inclined at an angle of 90. So as you know, with the Davis steering mechanism, which gives you the perfect steering at a different points, but all are sliding pace one, where you go with the Ackermann, which provides you at the perfect steering at 3 different points, whereas at the left direction and the right direction at the center point one. Okay, so coming to the Ackermann, which is very important one, and which is a similar one which is onto your Davis one. It consists of your cross links, which is nothing but we have your KL over here, which is connected onto your stub axles, which is at AC at this point, and at BD to other one at the front wheels one, through different arms which you have, which is AK and BL, which is also similarly forming a bell crank levers one, which is nothing but CAKL and BDKL. As like when you are making a turn of your vehicle, where you have your inside wheel must follow a where you have your tight curve or maybe a deep curve, and the outside wheel which makes your larger one. When your vehicle is running straight, we have your crosslink where KL is actually parallel to AB, and the short arms which you have, another one is AK and BL, both makes an angle theta to the horizontal axis of your chassis. Okay, so these angles which will usually range between maybe a 0.4 or 0.5, where based on this the steering ratio which you have by the perfect steering gear, you have cot phi minus cot theta is equal to B by L. Okay, so this is about your Ackermann steering one, which is most important, guys, most important one. Please go through the steering gear, Ackermann steering gear one. Okay, next coming to the steering geometry, is very important topic of all the topics which you are learning right now. Okay, so as you have your steering gear, which is nothing but it is a relationship between your suspension and your steering parts which you have in your front wheel, because you know, or to this we have your different angles which is made by your steering geometry one, which is nothing but camber, caster, kingpin, toe in, toe out, and steering axis inclination, all those things which we will be learning one by one off to this. Okay, so firstly we will start with the angle, which is nothing but the camber one. So coming to this camber one, as you know, what does mean by basic definition, which has many times been asked in the exam also, what is a camber angle? Camber angle, if you can observe on the figure over here, is you have your center line axis of your wheel, and you have another one is center line of your kingpin one. So in this, the inwards or the outward tilts of your wheel from you look from a front view, which you have your inward of your or outward tilt of your wheel, is nothing but we say it as a camber angle. Okay, so basically you have two types of camber angle. One is positive camber angle, another one is negative camber angle. Positive camber angle will lower your steering effort, and negative camber angle will improve your grip. Okay, suppose if you have your excess camber, this will increase your wear and it reduces your straight line acceleration. Okay, so in a simple language, if you say the camber angle, it is angle between your center line of your tire and the vertical one when viewed from the front of your vehicle when the angle is outwards. Okay, so this is nothing but we say it as a camber angle. So this you have your positive and negative. If you list out the exact angle of your camber, it should not exceed more than 2 degrees. It should be less than 2 degrees. It definitely cannot be 0. It should be on 1 or 2 or in between that. It cannot be more than 2 degrees. Okay, so suppose if your camber angle is more positive, it actually it causes your slip outwards. That's like prevention lightness in your perpendicular load, and it also lessens your required steering effort. It also will decrease your steering effort. So that is a basic advantage of your having of your positive camber angle. If suppose if you have a zero camber one, it will actually prevent your uneven wear of your tires, but it is definitely difficult to maintain your 0 degrees angle one. Okay, when your camber angle is negative, then what happens, it basically creates your thrust will increase with your tire inclination one. So that is a major problem. So that's the case, you need to avoid the negative camber angle. Okay, and next let's move on to the another one, which is the caster angle one. So coming to the caster angle one, if you observe the figure over here which is given over there, is nothing but your angle between your vertical line and kingpin center line when you are viewing from a side view. Just before we have gone through this camber angle one, which is when you look on from your front view and when you observe from your side view, the angle which you have your center line of your vertical one and then kingpin, this angle basically we say it as center line, caster angle one. So again in the caster angle one, you have your positive one. So in this, what are the functions of your caster angle? You have your self-centering action, next is center line stability, straight line stability, and next is excess. Suppose if you have more caster angle, then it makes your steering wheel to be much heavier, and your when you are making your response which is required for your steering wheel will be very less, and it will increase your effort by applying. Okay, so that's the case, you need to avoid your excess caster angle. So what is the amount of the caster angle which is you need to have? Maybe about maybe 3 or 4 degrees. It cannot be more than that. Okay, so the caster angle should be in between that. Okay, next we move on to the other one is yours. Let's first try to understand the kingpin one, such that it will be very simple to understand your steering axle angle one. So what is a kingpin? Kingpin is nothing but is the angle between your vertical center line and center of your kingpin. That angle we generally say it as kingpin inclination, or maybe also we say it as steering axis inclination one. It's the same, both we say it as. So what is a view when it is viewed from a front view? Previously was the caster which is viewed from the side view, and this is a one angle which is viewed from a front view. So this kingpin inclination is a combination with your caster angle, which is used to provide your directional stability. Based on this kingpin inclination, the major important thing is it reduces the steering effort, particularly when your vehicle is stationary. This is one other important advantage which you have when you go on with your kingpin inclination. Also it reduces your tire wear also. It is another important of your kingpin inclination. So usually your kingpin inclination should be on about 4 degrees to 8 degrees. So that is the range which should be maintained. So suppose what is an effect of your kingpin inclination? So the major important effect is like you have your good direction stability, one is very important one. And when you have your cornering inclination, such a way like when you apply your force which tend your vehicle to straighten up automatically, or maybe after your turn, which is you have, that is we generally say it is reversibilities or reversibilities. So that is also maintained with the help of your kingpin inclination one. And next is the tractive force which is acting on your kingpin axis or maybe in your road resisting one, you know, which will also be offset with the help of your kingpin inclination one. Okay. And next, another important point is such a way like when you have your center point steering condition one, the length of your spring which will actually cause your point of intersection to move above or below, this is also basically avoided with the help of this kingpin inclination one. Okay, so these are all the effects of your kingpin inclination one. Okay, so hope this is clear to you. If your kingpin inclination is clear, then next you have your combined angle, which we say it as. This combined angle is nothing but which is the angle between your is nothing but your angle formed in a vertical plane when you have your center line of your kingpin center line, which is nothing but it is a sum of your both camber and kingpin inclination. That is we generally say it as combined angle. Okay, so what is the effect of your combined angle? Suppose if you know if your intersection of your kingpin axis and your tire axis is in front of your ground, then your wheel tends to toy out. That is one of the major effect of your combined angle. Or maybe if you have your point of intersection below the road surface, then your wheel tends to be have toy in. So what is your toy out and toy in, that we'll learn in the next one topic. Okay, so this combined angle will make your vehicle to be in a toy out or maybe in a toy in. Okay, so that is about your combined angle. And next you have your toy in and toy out. So what is your toy in and toy out? So when you have your wheels, if you can observe on the figure over here, which is given as such a way like if your rear wheels, which is at this front end of your distance is less than your distance of your at the rear end, which is tending to be inwards, then we say it as toy in. And when your distance of your rear wheel one is greater than your front view one, which you have your wheels tilting outwards, then we say it as toy out. Okay, so that is angle between your wheels and your axis of your vehicle. So what is the basic functions of your toy in and toy out? Which toy in will increase your straight line stability at the cost of turning response, and greater the toy, faster the tire weights. So basically you should not have your more toy in, or it should not have your more toy out, anything which will be a problem. So it is a range in between. You should maintain that such a way like there will be no effect onto your steering one. If your toy in is provided to have your parallel rolling of your front wheel to stabilize your steering and also to prevent slipping of your front wheel, and then which actually prevents your excessive tire wear. Okay, so that is about the major importance of your toy in one. And the next, suppose if you have your toy out, that's why like your effect of your toy will be out will be such a way like to offset your camber and to prevent excessive tire wear. Okay, which is already we have learned about the camber one. So purpose of your toy out is to give majorly the correct turning alignment to prevent the major important one is tire wear. This is the common point which you can come across, maybe your toy in or toy out. Okay, and next is toy in basically is provided, which has been provided or should not be more than maybe about 2 to 3 mm. Okay, so this is about your toy in and toy out, where we are certainly maintaining your all the steering geometries. Also there will be some kind of problems which you come across, that may be unbalanced wheels or maybe unevenly worn out tires, or maybe sometimes inoperative shock absorbers, or maybe incorrect toy in, loose spring bolt, loose steering linkages, worn out kingpin. So these are the different kinds of problems which you come across. So when you are actually going with these problems, you should actually adjust it with the help of some things. When suppose if you have your unbalanced wheels, then you should make your wheels should be balanced with by having your perfect steering what you call wheel alignment one. And next you have your worn out or tire wear, then what is you need to do is rotate the tire or replace one new one. And suppose if you have your towing or toy which is maintaining more than that, which is crossing the limit, then you need to go with the perfect wheel alignment one. Okay, this is about your toe in and tie out. And next is another one is thrust angle. This is angle between your geometric central line and the thrust line, which is your thrust line which has been visible at the center one. So major function of your thrust angle is such a way like it occurs when your rear wheel has been improper alignment. If there is no proper alignment, then this kind of problem will arise. Or what is the effect or direction of the travel by causing your pull in the direction away from your thrust line. Okay, this is about your thrust angle. And next, which has already been discussed, about the turning radius. So there is a formula for this to calculate your turning radius. The turning radius is nothing but whatever you have your track, that is a width of that by 2 plus wheelbase. What is the design of your vehicle you are going to have, maybe a wheelbase maybe 2200 mm or 2500 mm of your wheelbase by sine average steer angle, that gives you a perfect turning circle radius. It may be about 4 to 5 meter radius. Okay, that will be your turning radius. Okay, and next after that, very important one, that is wheel alignment one. Many times this question has been asked in the exam. Guys, please pay attention of this and go through this question for 2 to 3 times. Coming to this, the wheel alignment is nothing but, what is the basic use of a wheel alignment is nothing but to have your directional stability when you are making your straight head position, or to have your perfect rolling condition in your steering, or maybe when you have your turn, and when you have your reversibility or semi-reversible should recover completely, and you should avoid the vibrations and should not be felt onto your perfect driver who is actually making the turn. And next factors is such a way like you should go with that, you should have a perfect balance of wheels, and you should not have any kind of inflation onto your tires, and you should have your perfect brake adjustment. There should not be any kind of impact onto your brake one. And the whatever the perfect steering geometry which to be maintained, you should have that perfect steering geometry. And the linkages, there should not be any kind of problem when you are making certainly of your this thing. These all things will be checked when you are going with the proper wheel alignment and all. And next is suspensions. Whatever the kind of suspensions which you have, there should not be any kind of impact on with help of this wheel alignment one. Okay, and next coming to the last one, which is your steering problems. What are the different kinds of your steering problems which arises over here? That is like hard steering one is a major problem. That is usually due to the low power steering fluid, or maybe a pump belt broken or slipping. These are the two problems which arises which you have your hard steering. Also, suppose if your angles which to be maintained of your steering geometry is greater or exceeding that, then also you have your hard steering, which will be a basic major problem when you are making a turn. And next is steering noise. Steering noise is also another kind of problem which you come across, that maybe the belt, whatever you have your worn out belt, or maybe if you do not have the perfect lubrication onto the things, also this kind of problem arises. Or maybe when you have your pump, because you know when you go with a what do you call power steering one, which you have the hydraulic one, which you have your cylinders, pumps, all those things. So if there is any kind of problems in your pump, also this will be a sound which arises onto your steering system. And also based on your hydraulic one, whatever the amount of the liquid to be maintained, if it comes below than that, then also this kind of problems will arise onto your steering one. Okay, so these are the problems which is related to this. And coming to the end of this steering system one, I hope this steering system has given you a slight basic idea about the topic, and now we'll go through some of the important questions which has been asked in the previous exams of your unit number 3 in which you have your steering system, which I have listed the different questions, which is your steering system topic 1, and next is wheels and tires, and next is suspension system. So of these 3 topics which you have in unit number 3, steering system is the most important topic which has been asked most of the questions in the exam. So let's go through quickly of all the questions which has been asked in the previous year, such that we can have a common understanding whether all the questions which we have learned the topic which has been covered or not. And the first question which has been asked in the December 2009 is define the term tie in and tie out, camber and caster, which I have gone through the steering geometry, all these angles just before we have learned. And next is what is steering axis. Kingpin inclination 1 is nothing but which we say it as a steering axis inclination 1. And next is what is the function of kingpin, just before we have learned the kingpin. And next is what is wheel balancing or wheel alignment 1, which is the most important question been asked many times. And what are the requirements of the steering system, which has already been covered. And what is wheel alignment, just before covered. Next is, see the question, the topic which will be asked in a different ways, but the concept is same, such a way like what is wheel alignment. If you learn a wheel alignment, what is you are going to have in a things in a wheel alignment 1, by setting your camber caster angle, kingpin angle 1, toe, all those things will check or will diagnose all those things in a machine. So here the question will be asked in a different way, such a way like what do you understand by wheel alignment 1, or maybe what is a function of wheel alignment 1, or what is the purpose of wheel alignment 1. The question will be asked in a different ways, but the concept is same. Sometimes the same question will be asked in 2 marker question 1, and sometimes it will be asked the same similar question in 5 marks. Based on the weightage you need to answer the question. Okay, so there will be no new things. It looks like many questions been asked, but the topics are quite a bit small. If you learn steering geometry, and if you learn wheel alignment, and if you learn the components, then it is done. That is the same questions been asked repetitively with the different forms of question. Okay, and next is what is positive and negative caster, similar thing which we all learned. What is the purpose of wheel alignment, what is kingpin inclination, caster angle, linkage, and different caster angle, again same question. Different types of steering gearboxes, all the similar questions which has been already given in my notes, which I have uploaded in the Google Classroom. You can go through this, and also I will try to upload the solutions of all these questions each one by one, and upload it in a Google Classroom. You can go through that also. Okay, I hope guys this is very clear to you. If you have any doubts or questions, you can ping me anytime. Okay, thank you.